So today I'm welcoming the lovely Jessica Lorimer to the video series. Jess, you're somebody who has been amazing in my journey, so I'm really excited to be interviewing you today because you have your podcast, which is awesome, and so this is a little bit roles reversed, so a little bit fangirl going on here.
It is good, actually. It's nice being on this side of the interview. It means I almost feel like I get to do less work, but I know that the pressure is also on, so it's quite nice. Adrenaline is rushing.
Well, you were lovely and kind to me, so I'll be kind to you.
Thanks. Yeah, it's quite early. So.
Right, so do you want to just tell the students that are watching kind of what you do right now in your job? And
yeah, of course. So I set up my own business 4 years ago. I work primarily on Facebook, which I'm imagining is now like the old platform. So if you're watching this and you're a student, I know you're probably acing Snapchat and Instagram, all those cool kid type things.
yeah.
But I'm still rocking it out on Facebook, and yay. Taking one for the oldies. So my business is about helping people make more money in their online businesses. So I work with entrepreneurs who have set up businesses, who want to make more money, and who don't want to be sleazy when it comes to selling stuff online.
Yeah, because you know from when we first met, you know, the whole kind of sales thing can be the hardest part of a new business, can't it? Because people kind of, they have images of estate agents and car salespeople, and you know, people feel a little bit sleazy, as you say, or slimy to kind of sell people. And what you do is help them to find their own natural way to sell, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I started out in sales when I was 16. So if you're 16 and you're watching this, sales is a great career. Do it. I started off working for a jewelry company. And one of the things that really came up for me was that I could earn a lot more money being what I call a consultative seller. So understanding what people really want, what motivates people to buy something, and then helping them make the right decision versus being a hard sell salesperson. And those are the people typically who do work in, unfortunately, estate agencies or car sales places where they're very much trying to just sell you the thing. They don't really care why you want it. They just want the commission.
Brilliant. But your journey to this point has been, well, I think it's probably one of my most enjoyable kind of stories, because you had quite a good journey into where you are now, and you've had some ups and downs, you know, which is good, because it allows people to kind of know that it's not all just roses and high income, but you've had some really awesome jobs and you've had some kind of less amazing, wonderful career paths. So when you were kind of at school and from that point to where you are now, do you want to just share that journey?
Yeah, of course. So I went to 16 different schools. I was always the new kid. My parents were both in the army, so we moved around all of the time. So as a result, I was always the new one who was kind of bullied for being a little bit weird, because I'd done like the Aztecs 7 or 8 times, but I'd never actually learned anything about the Romans, and to this day still haven't. I don't know what the Romans did and couldn't care less, quite frankly. But it's one of those things, isn't it? You kind of everyone made out that school was really important, and I was somebody who, you know, I was very, very geeky. I loved to read, and I'm an only child, so I basically had 0 friends, went to a ton of schools and spent the majority of my time reading until I got to about 13, 14, and people started liking me, which was nice. That was great, and I became a bit more popular, and did the whole yay, I've got loads of friends, and maybe I'm not studying as hard as I could be. So I left school. I'd done relatively well at school. I was really fortunate with my GCSE results, and went on to go to university. At that point, I had a Saturday job. So I was working for a jewellery company. If you are in the UK, you'll know them. They're called H. Samuel. They sell earrings and other pieces of jewellery. But at the time that I was working there, this was 12, 13 years ago almost now. They were selling £9.99 creoles, and it was it wasn't exactly £10,000 diamonds, but it was fine, and I really, really enjoyed it. So I had this Saturday job. I was doing really well there. I was selling stuff. I was really enjoying it. I made loads of friends. It was very social. And so they actually started offering me secondments because they were like, oh, you're good at selling things. And we have a couple of stores that perhaps aren't as good at selling stuff. And we'd like you to go and work in those stores and help people there learn how to sell like you do. So that was really cool. And at the time that I was about 18, I was going off to university and I was working full time. I was doing a lot of management positions within H. Samuels, managing different stores, taking on different problems within the roles. So I was going to uni sort of 1 or 2 days a week, and the rest of the time I was working full time, which was great. Great if you like being busy, great if you like having money. Terrible if you like relaxing at any point. So, you know, if you're going on that work balance journey, make sure that you do actually take some time out. After university, I was headhunted by one of the largest recruitment firms in the world, and I was invited to go and set up a technology recruitment desk within the public sector and not-for-profit, which was really, really cool. This was just after the time, which none of you will remember because you probably aren't old enough, for the financial services crash. Yay!
We're old today, aren't we?
I know! I'm like, I'm 30 next year, but I feel about 85. So we had the financial services crash, and basically what happened was all the banks were like, great, we have zero money, and everyone really panicked. And nobody really thought that you could make money at that period of time. Everyone was really worried about job security. I was working in recruitment, so obviously I was seeing tons of people literally walk out of really high paying jobs and just being told, we have no money to pay you, off you go. And I remember thinking, and I was about 22, I was like, Jesus, you know, what happens if my company does that? You know, what happens if one day I just get up and I go to my desk and someone taps me on the shoulder and says, hey, bye. And it worried me for about 5 minutes because I was 22 and attention span was very, very short term. And I started, you know, setting up these different business divisions for recruitment firms, and I was making a lot of money. So by the time I was 23, I was making a 6-figure salary. So if you want a ton of money and you're prepared to work a lot of hours, recruitment is for you. You also have to be very persistent, very resilient, and totally okay with cold calling and people hanging up on you regularly. But if you can get past that, you'll be fine.
Yeah, the recruitment kind of industry is you know,
it's good.
You've got to be cut for it, haven't you?
Yes. You have to, you have to be somebody who's a people person. You have to be social. There are lots and lots of meetings, and you are required to go to different events and things like that. But also it helps to have an interest in what you're actually recruiting. So I recruited technology, and to this day know nothing about technology, but I run an online business pretty successfully, and I've used tons and tons of different types of software, and I've experimented with lots of things before the majority of my competitors, because I came from this background of, oh, well, computers do this. This is really cool. Yeah. So, you know, it does help to have an interest in that. So I was living the kind of big money dream. I was what was referred to in the industry as a baller. I was a top 20 performer for some of the world's biggest firms, and ended up specializing in luxury fashion, which was very cool. So I had some really big name clients, some epic free stuff, which was good. And then I burnt out. Now, obviously, when I was 16, I knew nothing about what burnout is. So basically, I woke up one day and my body was like, nope, this isn't happening anymore. And I'd done about, you know, by that point in time, I'd been in the sales industry, and I'd been working for about 6 years, you know, full time, no breaks, really, really busy, constantly under a lot of pressure. And I went to the doctor, and they said, look, you know, it's your health or your job, and those are your choices, which was really scary. You know, I was 23 years old. It was just before Christmas. I went to my boss and said, hey, look, actually, there's something not right here. Could I maybe go part-time? And all of my fears from a few years earlier came true. They were like, well, no, sorry, that's not going to work for us. You know, you're great at what you do, but we can't fit that into our company. And I went, oh, okay. I need to have a real think about where life is going to go for me. And that's how I ended up setting up my business. And 3 months later, I had left my corporate job. I'd set up my business. I was eating an awful lot of pot noodles because setting up a business is not as glamorous as it sounds right at the beginning. Lots of hard work. But 4 years later, we've had some big wins. I've been featured in magazines that will mean nothing to you probably, like Forbes, and some big business magazines. But most importantly, and probably to you guys, I've been on TV a couple of times. I've been on the news. Channel 5 News have had me on. I've been on Good Morning Britain. I've met Piers Morgan and Susanna Reid, and they're very nice people, surprisingly. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to become a best-selling author. I have a podcast that's in the top 100 in the business category in iTunes, which is awesome. And I'm been speaking on some big stages and some major industry events this year, which is fab. So, in terms of revenue, I far surpassed the salary I was getting paid at my full-time corporate job. And the reality is that now I work 28 hours a week. So, I've got a full team behind me, which is awesome. We employ 4 other people at this point, which is really cool. I work about 28 hours a week. They do a lot more than I do.
How it works generally, isn't it?
Which is awful, but we all get along really well. It's been a really cool roller coaster ride. So yeah, that's kind of where it's been.
Yeah, and what I love with your journey is that you kind of started out where a lot of these students are with their sort of Saturday jobs, where a lot of them will go into these jobs thinking, right, this isn't the career I want for the rest of my life because I'm going to be going off to uni or I'm going to be going to college. But quite often these sort of Saturday jobs can quite quickly become your career path, can't they? Because when you start there, you start to kind of go, actually, I'm quite good at this, or I actually quite enjoy this, and it changes that mindset and you start to do things differently. And when you start a job, even if it's just a Saturday or Sunday working hours, you're really good at something. Companies start to invest in you, don't they? And that's what I love with yours, was you're a prime example of when you have somebody working for you who's really good at something, and then the company says, okay, we don't care that you're 16, we don't care that you're 18, we don't care that you're 21. You've got something that we need as a business, and therefore we're willing to invest back into you to absorb that back into the business.
Yeah.
And that's where I think a lot of these students will kind of probably not see those opportunities are available because they are almost brainwashed into it's school, it's college, it's sixth form, it's university, then it's a career. But actually sometimes these big companies can be your way into some really great opportunities, can't they?
100%. And some of my best friends, that I met when I was working in my Saturday job, are still working for the company. We're talking 12 years later, and they're in senior buying positions. They're working in HR positions in the company. You can absolutely go down that route. And I always say to people, had I not been headhunted by a recruitment firm, it is very, very likely that I would bless you. It's still really likely that I'd be working for that company because I really enjoyed it. The other thing that I would say is that if you've got a Saturday job and you're like, yeah, no, actually, there's no way I ever want to continue with this because it's naff, that's fine, but remember that those are transferable skills, because when I walked into my recruitment job, I was getting paid about $2,000 more than everybody else because I was the only person who'd had a job before. So, don't forget that it's not just about, okay, what am I doing right now? But actually in the future, when you go for other jobs, you already have a position. So you can say, well, actually, I would like a higher salary, or actually I have these extra transferable skills that another school leaver or student or graduate might not have because they haven't done the same things as you.
Yeah, and it helps you to nail the interview because most of the questions in the interviews are around experience, aren't they? Tell me a time when you've had to deal with this, or share a time when you've had experience with this. And if you never had a job, even if it's just been sweeping the floor in the hairdressers, it doesn't matter what the job is, and it doesn't have to be your final destination career path. You could be working in McDonald's, you could be working in Poundland. It doesn't matter what the job is, it will give you opportunities to come up with these experiences. And you ended up working in a massive sales role, earning a very good salary, probably because of the skills you'd learned at the jewelers.
Yeah, 100% that, I think it's really funny because the skills you learn earlier in life, I genuinely believe you retain more of, and I started in sales really early. I was only 16 when I started. My parents have been like, right, go get a job, fund yourself. We're tired of feeding you. And so actually, for me, I spent a lot of time. I was working every Saturday, I was working every Sunday, I was doing the bank holiday shifts because I got paid more, and over time you do get better and better at it. So if you have a job, try and be the best you can be at it, rather than just going and being like, yeah, I'm going to do the bare minimum so that they keep paying me. It might not be the cool thing to do, but actually it's going to set you up a lot better in later life, which sounds dull, but it will benefit you a lot more. And I think that, schools these days, I say these days, schools when I was at school didn't teach you about finances, and nobody talked about money. And that was a big issue, because when I went from being 16 and kind of like, oh great, I've got an extra 200 quid a month or whatever to just do what I want with, to, oh, I'm now one of those boring people who has a mortgage and has to pay for their bills, and their bank manager gets very cross if things aren't actually paid for. Unreasonable. Incredibly unreasonable, I think. But understanding how to manage your money, how to budget, how to save up for things that you want as a result of having a job early on, is really, really useful.
Yeah, and the good thing is it's a natural teaching, isn't it?
Yes.
It's not like if it was at school where it'd be a lesson once a week. You learn naturally by wanting to go to concerts and having to save for it, or wanting to do a festival and learning how to budget for it. And that's what's great about the career path for these students at the moment, is this is going to open so many doors for them. And what's really great about your journey is, you had your burnout, and I think you're totally right. A lot of students watching this are going to not quite know what burnout means, unless they've got family that have kind of gone through it. And I think this is the scary thing about work, is people assume that once they've got the job of their dreams, that's it forever. But actually sometimes life throws you a curveball, doesn't it? And you had a job, you loved it, you're earning a really good salary, but your body was like, do you know what, actually this isn't for us, this isn't the career for us, we've had enough. Mentally you're able to still do it, but physically, we're pulling out now. Which opened up a new opportunity for you. And rather than sitting at home on benefits complaining about being poorly, I saw that face. you kind of found a way around it, didn't you? And that's what I think is really inspiring to a lot of people that work with you, is that yes, you have to keep your hours to a minimum, if you like, because the health issues are still kind of undercurrent, but you found a way of still being able to work and have a good life, rather than just kind of, it's just finding a different way around it, isn't it? So
I think I think if you put your mind to it, you can do whatever you want to do. I don't buy into, oh, I've got a health issue, or oh, I've got a disability. My doctor often says this to me. He's like, oh, well, you've got a disability, would you like a blue badge for parking? And there are some elements of me that want to be like, yes, because it'd be closer when I go shopping and I wouldn't have to carry so much crap to the car. But also, I think that labels are a very dangerous thing. And when you start saying to yourself, oh, I can't do this, because you justify why something isn't possible for you. And in all honesty, who the hell are you to tell yourself what you can or can't do? Ultimately, everybody gets the same 24 hours in the day. Everyone gets the same opportunities in life. If you want to make something happen, that's your job. That's on you. And if you sit there and you moan and you whine and you go, oh, well, life's so unfair, because everyone's got something that's unfair. Everyone's got something that sucks. But it's about how you deal with that thing and how you move forward from it that defines what kind of person you are and what opportunities you're going to be able to take.
Yeah, definitely. And that leads me perfectly into my next point, which is, because I could just talk to you for hours, as you know, which is always dangerous. But these guys that are watching you now, who are kind of going, right, okay, that's a life I want to be. I want to have the 6-figure salary. I want to have the laptop life. That's where I want to go. Because of the journey you've had, what piece of kind of knowledge or lesson learned can you share with them from your journey? Because they're going to ultimately come across it, aren't they?
Get used to failing at stuff and enjoy failing at stuff. I was really, really obsessive about being good at things when I was at school, because everyone was like, you have to get an A star, you have to get this, you have to get that. If you don't get that, automatically you'll be a failure. And that used to really scare me, because I was like, oh my God, what if I have to go home and tell people I'm a failure? And I was one of those boringly academic kids. Like, I was very fortunate. I got my A stars and I got that, and it was fine. And actually that really set me back, because when I started working properly, it turned out there were loads of things that had zero relevance to taking an exam, or being able to be like a prefect, or whatever the kind of things were. And so I failed a lot, and I failed publicly on a lot of things, and I felt humiliated at times, and there were things that went wrong that I just wasn't naturally good at, and that made me feel really uncomfortable. However, not being good at things is a really good life lesson, and it's got me where I need to be. We're at a point in my business now where, I do work 25, 28 hours a week. I rolled out of bed about half an hour ago. I had a, shower, and I'm here doing this. And then my only job for the rest of today is to go to the post office and post out some copies of my book. That's it. I've just had 3 weeks off from ostensibly sitting in my home office. My commute is from my bed about 10 steps to the office. I'm really fortunate to have the disposable income I want, but those things didn't come because I was really good at lots of things. I always said in my corporate job, I'm in sales because I'm basically talentless. Like, I didn't have a special skill. I wasn't an amazing writer. I wasn't great at science. I was never going to find the cure for cancer. I was intelligent enough. I could get by. I could do the exams. But learning to put myself out there, learning skills that I never knew were actual skills, sales skills, learning how to manage people, learning how to delegate, learning how to develop new businesses. Those things are the things that have allowed me to have the life that I do now. Not all of the exams that I was forced to take, not all of the, certificates that I've got hanging on the wall, even my degree, nice as it was, did the graduation, did all that kind of thing. I don't use it now. It didn't give me the life skills that I needed to do what I do now. So I think, get used to being a failure. Accept that you are. Inherently, everyone is. You will be good at some things. You will not be great at others. Don't focus and beat yourself up for not being good at them. Instead, focus on what's the opportunity that I can learn from this? How can I get better at it if I need to be? And actually, if I'm not good at it, is this a skill that I really need in life? If it's not, don't worry about it.
Yeah, and I think that's such a good learning lesson, because quite often we focus on trying to be good at something that other people around us are good at, and actually it doesn't have any benefit on us or our life. And so, it's fine that some people are better at certain things than you are. You find what you're good at, you enhance it, you learn to kind of make that even better and bigger, and then before you know it, you're a master at it, or you're a leader in it, and an expert, and that's what kind of sets you up, isn't it?
100%. I think when you're at school, it's so easy to get caught up in what other people think. We're all on social media, wherever you're hanging out on social media, but everyone worries about what clothes to wear, whose life looks better, who's happier, who's pregnant, who's this, who's that. And honestly, that doesn't really change when you become an adult. I know that parents will always go, oh yeah, it gets better when you hit 20. That was a lie. Bursting the bubble, right? But if you're constantly focusing on what other people are doing well and beating yourself up about it, it doesn't matter how old you are, you're always going to feel like that. Yeah. So instead of, worrying about failing or worrying about not being good at something, start focusing on the stuff you are good at, and stop looking to everyone else to validate you or to make you feel good because they've liked your post on Facebook. Start looking at the kind of person you are and thinking, am I happy with how I'm behaving? Am I happy with my life right now? Am I happy with the, you know, the kind of trajectory that I'm on? And if you are, great, keep doing it. And if you're thinking, actually, I'm kind of feeling like I'm going to be stuck in a dead end job that I hate, or I'm kind of feeling like I'm getting myself into trouble with a few of the people that I'm hanging out with, now is the time to stop, because the choices that you make now, unfortunately, they do affect massively your future. You know, so you need to have a good hard look at who you are now and who you want to be in the world.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's, you know, such great advice. And for any of the students who are watching this now, who are kind of thinking about sales as a career, or becoming their own sort of creating their own business, at the end of this, there is a link to your podcast, because it is amazing. There's some great sales advice on there, and you know, you've got the book, and you've got the Youpreneur this year, and all of that kind of stuff, which is all fantastic. You are definitely somebody that they should be following, and looking at what you're doing over the next few years, if sales is going to be their thing. So thank you so much for today, and thank you for sharing your story. I know there's going to be a good few people sitting watching this now, and the bells are going off, and the cogs are turning, where they're thinking, actually, you know, I quite like the idea of, you know, commuting from my bed to my desk. That sounds quite good.
Yes. Some days I don't even make it out of bed. I'm just like, laptop. So, you know, remember,
all of the secrets.
Well, you can set up a business doing anything. Like, you know, take that away. If you take nothing else from today, you can set up a business doing whatever the hell you want. So choose something you like and do that if you don't fancy any other careers.
Yeah, and I always say to people, if it's not out there yet, create it.
Exactly. Thank you for having me.
That's right. Thank you for being here. Take care.